Hey everybody, this is Randy Brown for Vlogging with Mr. Brown, and today I'm going to be reviewing the book Neuro-Linguistic Programming for Dummies. This is a good book, and this is a new type of thing that I'm doing for YouTube. So with every book review that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do a few helpful hints from the book. Now, it gives you a pretty good overview of what neurolinguistic programming is and the basic tenets of neurolinguistic programming. And it's a pretty solid primer. The only other book that I think would be a better introduction to NLP would probably be NLP for Beginners. But as much as I like this book and as thorough as it is, it does have one major drawback, and the drawback to this book is something that a lot of paperback neurolinguistic programming books have, is that the exercises in the book are nearly impossible to do without somebody helping you. Like, for example, like one of the exercises is like, okay, so what we want you to do is sit comfortably in a chair, put your hands at your side, tilt your gaze upward, and focus as a spot on the wall. And it's like, okay, now that I'm doing that, if you want me to keep doing this, how am I going to tilt my head to look and read the next step in the exercise? And then the next step after that is like, close your eyes and visualize about blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, if I'm closing my eyes and visualizing, how am I supposed to open my eyes to read the next step of the book? Like I said, I mean, a lot of the exercises are impossible to do unless you have somebody to help you. One of the things I like about this book is that it has the ultimate success formula. In Anthony Robbins' book, I don't know who originated this, but Anthony Robbins calls it the ultimate success formula in his book. And in this book, it's called the 4-point formula for success. And I'll just go over the basics of this so you can get a handle on what's in it. The first is know your outcome. Know what you want, because a lot of people drift through life and they just make it up as they go along. They have no idea what they want. And then step 2 is take action. And whatever you do or whatever your endeavor is in life, not only is there things you can do and first steps that you have to take, but there's also things that you can do today. Like, for example, if you have a computer, internet connection, and a printer, let's say your goal is to get a job. Well, you know what? There are things you can do today, even if it's Friday or Saturday at like 12 midnight. Like, for example, you can go on some job hunting websites. You can apply for LinkedIn. You can create your resume. You can get some books. You can order some books from Amazon on how to create your resume. You can go to company websites like McDonald's or Regal and get you can get application forms. So, no matter what you're doing, there's not only something you can do, but something you can do today. Like, for example, again, if it's Saturday and it's midnight, you could, do 10 push-ups, or you could, go for a run around the block, or you could drink 10 glasses of water. No matter what your goal is, there's always something that you can do today, some action that you can take. And then 3 is develop sensory awareness. That's the third step. And basically this means that you need to know whether you're getting the response you want or not. Is this taking you closer to your goal, or is it taking you further away from your goal? And then 4, the fourth step is maintain behavioral flexibility. And that basically just means keep changing what you're doing until you get the response that you want. There's one of my friends is having a hard time finding a girlfriend, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's just like, "Oh, I'm just letting it free flowing and just pouring my heart out and doing whatever comes into mind." And while that may have worked for him before, every relationship has dissolved. Einstein, he said insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you apply the ultimate success formula, again, know your outcome, know what you want, take action, have the sensory acuity enough to know whether you're getting what you want or not, and 4, just keep changing your approach and changing it and changing it. And if you don't get what you want, change your approach again. And if you don't get what you want, change your approach again. And if you don't get what you want, if you keep changing your approach, eventually you're going to find a technique or a tactic that will work. And then once you've gotten what you want, stop changing, keep using that tactic over and over and over again. So that's something helpful I learned in that book. And there are several other really good chapters on metaprograms and communication. Yesterday I just read a chapter of the book, and it had a really good chapter on asking effective questions, and how, like, some of the questions people ask them have inherent presuppositions, things that are assumed true that aren't actually true. Like, if I ask you the question, when did you stop beating your wife, that assumes several things that may or may not be true. Like, number one, it assumes that you have a wife, and you might not have a wife. You might be single, and I could say, when did you stop beating your wife, which assumes at one point you beat your wife, which may or may not be true. And then also the question, when did you stop beating your wife? A lot of people take the word beating as, physical assault. But, this question could also be interpreted as, when did you stop beating your wife? As in, when did you stop beating your wife at poker? Or when did you stop beating your wife at Halo? So, certain questions that people ask have assumptions built into them that are not actually true, is what I'm saying. So certain questions have presuppositions, assumptions that aren't actually true. And if you ask yourself a question like, why do I always screw up? Well, you don't always screw up, but when you ask yourself, why do you always screw up, you're presupposing that you do screw up when that's not actually true. There are several times in the past when you have been successful, and also there had been times when you did screw up, but you want to watch out. The book talks about universal quantifiers, and what a universal quantifier is words like all, every, never, none, no one. And whenever you use a universal quantifier like all, every, no one, that is when you're bordering on generalization. And generalizations, for the most part, are usually not true. Like, all white people are white supremacists. That's a generalization that is not true. And, Neurolinguistic Programming for Dummies it's a pretty good book. I like it. Out of 5 stars, I would give it a 4.5. It's probably one of the better books on NLP. It's probably the top 3 books on NLP that you could get. So Basically, like I said, Neuro-Linguistic Programming for Dummies, I give it 4.5 stars out of 5. And I am Randy Brown, and this has been a Randy Brown book review for Vlogging with Mr. Brown. So I will see you, Latre.